So, hi guys, my name is Raymond Joseph. I'm an investigative journalist based in Cape Town. And I'm also a fact checker. I do, if those of you have heard of the International Fact Checking Network, it's a network of fact checking organizations. And there's a code of conduct, and I do assessments for them for people to apply to access to the network. So let me begin. The one thing I want to say, I'm going to be showing you a whole bunch of tools. Don't panic about links and that sort of thing. I've prepared a resource. I've prepared resources for you, which we will share at the end. And with all these tools I'm showing you, what I do want to say to you is the most powerful tool in your toolbox is common sense. No matter what tools you're using, it's common sense. If you haven't fact checked something, if it's not coming from a reliable source, just don't share it. Right, so apologies. Sorry, facts do matter. They're the most important thing to us as journalists. And fact checking is not something you do occasionally. It should be part of your workflow. Jeff was talking about the investigation that I've been engaged in for the past 4 years. Time flies. The reason that we've not been successfully sued is because of onerous fact checking, detail by detail. We do get something, no matter how good a journalist you are, you do get something wrong, and you can't fact check yourself easily. Because if you've misspelled, if you made a mistake, you think it's right, you're just going to go past it. So a fact is a statement that can be proved to be true with evidence. Evidence is the most important thing. And the usual test is, can it be verified? Now, two things that you can't verify is an opinion, because everyone has an opinion. And everyone is entitled to their own opinion. They're not entitled to their own facts. That's really important. And you cannot fact check the future. Someone says something is going to happen in the future. Well, there's no way to fact check it. So those are two important things that you cannot fact check. So this is how it goes. In the hurly-burly and the mad world of social media, the person with the loudest voice and who shouts the loudest often gets heard. Be wary of taking the word of someone who's shouting. It doesn't mean they're right just because they're loud. These are, and we are, by the way, going to share this presentation. So again, you don't need to take copious notes. Know this, that in the aftermath of something happening, news outlets will get stuff wrong. Particularly with 24-hour cable television. There's a furnace to feed. Don't trust anonymous sources. If someone wants to speak anonymously, you need to understand what their motive is and be convinced that they really need to be anonymous. And if they just want to be anonymous because they want to be anonymous, move on. Find another source. Never trust stories that cite another outlet as a source of information. So very often what you'll see is a story quoting the New York Times, and it's got a hyperlink there. And when you click on the hyperlink, what it does is it takes you to the New York's website, not the story. Rather, if someone is quoting the New York Times, rather Google key elements of the story and New York Times. Do not trust anyone who's quoting another source. unless that link, that hyperlink, links to the actual story they're quoting. But very, very often with fakery, it doesn't. The hyperlink is there to fool you. It just takes you to the website. For those of you American, there's almost never a second shooter. I think history has proved that. And yet time and again, that's the story. Pay attention to the language that's being used. We are getting reports. That could mean anything. Where are you getting your reports from? Who's your source? We are seeking confirmation means that they actually don't have confirmation. They've gone to air, they've published without confirmation. News outlet says it has learned it. Either it's got a scoop or it's going out on a limb. Always look for a news outlet close to the incident. Now, one tip I would give you, if something is happening in, so the Charlie Hebdo, if something is happening in Paris, rather go to a French website, download Google Translate, and use Google Translate. Once you've downloaded it, it ends up in your right click. But don't go to a website if you're living in London, reporting a Portuguese story. Rather go to Portuguese outlets. Sorry, I've got a bit of a hair trigger here. Compare multiple sources. So if one is reporting, go and look at what the others are reporting. And always in your reporting, report the contradictions. We're not police. We can't arrest people and interrogate them. You know, and different people have different versions of what they saw. And it's very difficult to decide who's right. Rather report the contradictions. If there are several people saying something, report that several people are saying, but someone else at the scene is saying something else. Big news brings out the fakers and the photoshoppers. Know this, when something big happens, so January 6th in the United States, there was so much fakery and photoshopping going on there. Why, I don't know, because it was so sensational anyway. Beware reflexive tweeting. Some of this is on you. Basically, what that says is you can be part of the solution or you can be part of the problem. So this fake news thing, if it's fake, it can't be news. I don't like the term fake news. Rather refer to mis or disinformation. Misinformation is something that directly misleads. Disinformation directly misleads. Misinformation is where a reporter gets it wrong. They're not doing it intentionally, but they've got it wrong. Really important, you know. So we work for different mediums, the journalists amongst us. You're not going to race to print with a story before you've checked it, before you've done verification. And yet social media makes people's brains go soggy. And so rather be right than risk getting it wrong in the race to be first. You won't be remembered for getting it being first. You will be remembered for getting it wrong. Check thrice before you tweet or post once. That's really, really, really important. And if you can't verify it yourself, if it hasn't come from a source, a trusted source, and remember, trusted sources do get it wrong, but at least you can quote that source. Don't share it. Very important. It takes years, no matter what you do, it takes years to build your reputation as a trusted source. Don't throw it away with a dumb tweet or post or a reshare. And you see this happening all the time. Beware, real pictures from unrelated events are often used out of context. So what you're saying, a very good example that happens regularly is every time Gaza, the Middle East, Palestine blows up, there's a flurry of stuff flying around. Be aware that both sides are masters at media manipulation, and many people will take pictures and use them out of context. And that's why you need to check and do a reverse image search, which I'll show you how. Google reverse image search, Revi and TinEye, your first ports of call to verify a picture. All of these, once you've gone to once you've gone to the apps, either Android or if you're a person of the fruit and Apple, once you've downloaded them, they end up in your right click. Now, I do want to say to you, I use Chrome. I'm not paid by Google. I have my own problems with Google, but Google has invested a lot in journalism and free tools. And a lot of the browser extensions are in Google, usually Firefox too. Apple makes you pay for too much. If I had my way, both Facebook and Twitter would have a right click on any photograph that appeared that automatically did a reverse image search. To this day, I still don't understand why they just don't do that. Once it's out there, you can't take it back. People do screen grabs. There's a tool called Wayback Machine, which even if you delete, will find earlier versions of stories and things. So think very, very carefully. The most powerful tool in your toolkit is common sense. And then importantly, tools do the heavy lifting. You've still got to do the journalism. You've still got to do the verification. So fake comes in many different disguises. You've got a false connection where headlines, visuals, or captions don't support the content. That's clickbait. False context, like I've just said, where genuine content is shared, but with false contextual information. So very often with photographs and videos. Manipulated content, where genuine information or imagery is manipulated to deceive. That's Photoshop. Satire or parody, always check the about. Always look on Twitter. In the bio, is it a parody account? There's no intention to cause harm, but there's the potential to fool. And I love it every time the Onion catches someone with a wild story and everyone rushes off to retweet it. Misleading content, misleading use of information to frame an issue or an individual. That's where you're actually making up stuff. It's been happening to me where people make up stuff about you. Imposter content, when genuine sources are impersonated. Look very, very carefully at a Twitter account. And make sure that what you're looking at, if it's a genuine official account or someone well known, will have a blue tick. But otherwise, look at it. So there was an account called dailymail.uk, dailymail.uk.co.uk is genuine. But there was a one pushing out a lot of rubbish, which was daily, and the I was a 1, and mail, the I was a 1. .co.uk. At a quick look, it looks genuine. Just look carefully at that URL. And then fabricated content, that's new content that is 100% false, and it's malicious. It's designed to deceive and do harm. That is disinformation. Spotting fake news. Again, I just want to repeat, you're going to get a copy of this stuff. I'm just going through it and adding a bit of context. So consider the source. Don't just look at that, click away, go and investigate the website that is publishing it, the person that is publishing it, Google them, check. What you're doing is you want to make sure that this is a trusted source. Read beyond the headlines. So I don't know what happens in other countries, but what happens in South Africa is data is expensive. So what people do on Twitter is they read the headline, they don't download that, they don't read the story because that's going to take data, and they retweet it. Very often the headline and the story are two different stories. Be careful of that. If you haven't read the story, don't just simply retweet it because it sounds interesting. Check the author. Is the author credible? Supporting sources. So I always hyperlink in my stuff for fact-checking purposes. Anyone should be able to take a fact check or a story you have done and arrive at the same conclusion using the same sources. Click on those links to make sure that they actually support the story. It's like I said to you, the New York Times, where it takes you to the website, not to a story. This one catches people all the time. Check the date. Every now and then you see the internet killing someone off who died years before. So with a story, before you share it, before you use it in your story, before you link it, check when it was published. It might be years old. Now, there are tools. There's one called, I think it's called What Date Was It Published, as a way of finding out the date. The other thing very often is in the URL. There's a date in the URL. It's not always there, but very often. So it's a good place to check there. Is it a joke? It's so outlandish. Before you go to share, make sure that you're not falling, that the onion hasn't caught you. Importantly, check your biases. Everyone's got biases, whether you believe it or not. Being aware of your biases makes you more aware of not getting it wrong, because your bias easily can affect your judgment. Ask an expert, old-fashioned librarian. You'll be amazed what's in books. Check a fact-checking site. Speak to an expert. Don't just take what is being said. This tool, this thing, there's a source at the bottom that you can print this out and hang it above your desk. Quick one. So this guy set out to prove how gullible journalists can be. And what he did is he wrote a story about how chocolate helps you lose weight. He then went and set as an academic thesis. He then went and set up a phony account, a phony bio. And this story was widely republished by normally credible media all over the place. Had they just looked to see this academic claiming to have a PhD, had never published any other research before. You know, if you've got your PhD, you've published other research before, that's for sure. Your PhD subject is not your first research piece. And a lot of people fell for it by not checking. And, you know, and as I said, common sense. I mean, really, chocolate helps you lose weight? That should set off an alarm bell. It's counterintuitive. When you're assessing a website, the currency, how new is it? What is the relevance of what they're saying? The accuracy we need to be checking. The authority, with what authority do they speak? And the authority is their sources. Who are they quoting? Who are their sources? And then also, what is the purpose of what they published? A lot of the fakery that goes around is designed, it's clickbait. It's designed to get clicks. So if it makes you angry, if it makes you sad, if it makes you over happy, be wary. You know, it should not be doing that to you. So if it's too true to be true, it often isn't. So this picture on the right is a genuine photograph, by the way. And a quick way to fact check it is at the bottom, there's a copyright with a website. You go to that website, you'll actually see the photograph there, and you'll see that it's part of a series of photographs. It was shot off Cape Town from the mast of a yacht. And they'd spent the entire day going around tracking, waiting, trying to get a shark to follow him. And out of this whole shoot, he's looking backwards, and there it is. Now, I'm sure all of you at one stage have seen a story about sharks swimming down highways. This picture, rearview mirror, and there's the shark. LA, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico. That shark is that shark. It's the same shark. They've stolen that shark and put it in that picture. But I mean, really, where's a highway going to flood to that extent? Common sense. So just basic for Twitter. First prize is to speak directly to the source. Ask for their off-Twitter contact details where you can speak in private. So again, this is not only Twitter, this is journalism. Ask if they witnessed the incident firsthand or they heard about it. Ask who else may be a witness, who else was there. Ask if they have a picture or video, so the kind of stuff that you might see on WhatsApp, which is a very complicated place for verification. Ask them to send you other pictures and videos they took. Around a news event, no one is going to shoot one picture and walk away. Does it have a geolocation? Now, I've got my geolocation switched off. A lot of people don't know how to, and it's on, so you can check where they are. XF data, which is a bit more advanced, but very often, if it's taken with a phone, it'll show you the time it was taken. It'll show you the kind of it'll show you the time it was taken. It'll show you the kind of phone. The most important thing you want to check, and it'll tell you where it was taken. Sometimes it'll give you latitudes and longitudes. Just punch them into Google and tell you where it is, or else it will actually give you a place. Many photographers actually put the XF data when they set up their cameras for copyright purposes. Now, the problem with XF data is Google and Twitter strip it down to save space on their server. So the absence of XF data doesn't mean there's something wrong. It just means that it's not there. Does the tweet sound authentic? Poor grammar, spelling, and typos could indicate there's a real person behind the tweet. It doesn't mean it's made up. Very often it means that's actually a real person who can't spell and doesn't know grammar. Do a Twitter search hashtag and a Google to see if anyone else is reporting or tweeting about it. So it's some odd person. So a few years back, someone actually tweeted that Margaret Thatcher had died, RIP. And that thing went viral. In fact, it was passed on by many journalists. I mean, the simple thing to do, if Margaret Thatcher had died, she was still very alive and well then, it would have been reported by PA, which is the home wire service. It would have been widely reported, not by some odd person. When you read the bio, it actually said, "Got you, you idiots. Check first before you go and share." The clue was in the bio. I suspect it was a journalist actually doing that to see who could catch. Crowdsource for info. Ask questions. If you don't know, ask. You're seeing crowdsourcing all the time. Check what people are wearing in a picture, in a video. Look at vehicle number plates, distinctive landmarks. Look at billboards. Look at shop windows. What language is it in? The clothes that the people are wearing. This is supposed to be happening in Michigan yesterday, and people are running around in shorts and t-shirts. You know, it's clearly, that picture is not from Michigan. It might be from Michigan, but not yesterday. Check landmarks against Google Earth. And then very importantly, there's a computation search engine called Wolfram Alpha. Wolfram Alpha, you can ask it questions. And one of the questions you can ask, so the way to test it is, what was the weather, and give your birthday. What was the weather like on my birthday? It'll give you a 24-hour, hour by hour weather report for a date. So the picture, there's pouring rain, and you look at Wolfram Alpha and there was no rain in that place on that day. Again, it's all in the toolkit. Okay, so RevEye reverse image search. RevEye reverse image search. Just bear with me a moment. Sorry. So apologies, just taking a moment. So it's basically, it's a Chrome extension. So RevEye is a Chrome extension. And what you do is, on a photograph, you right click on a photograph. Now, the moment that you have downloaded, it's on Chrome. I think there's one for Safari, and it's definitely on Firefox. When you right click on a photograph, you get a, so this is an early version. I need to change this, but when you right click on it, you can search. It then gives you search with. You can search with Google. You can search with Yandex, different search engines. There's Bing. There's half a dozen different search engines there that you can search. Put it on your picture, right click. You can search with all, or you can search with Google only, or one only. Now, very simple. You go, and it's on the list. Just go to your app store, download RevEye reverse search image, add it. So I add it to Chrome. You do it with the one you're using. And it's as simple as that. The way to use it is on a right click, and it really does a fantastic reverse image search. Now, this video vault is very powerful. It, for some reason, when I tested it yesterday, the day before yesterday, it wasn't working, it was down. I've emailed them to ask them what the problem is, but it's down at the moment. But what you do is you can't just use it. You've actually got to request access, and they ask you who you are. If you're a human rights worker, if you're a researcher, if you're a journalist, they'll give you access. They don't give everyone, but they're pretty generous with access. And then what you do is, when you got a picture, all you do is you take the URL. Now, very important with a picture, what you got to do is enlarge the picture and use that URL, not the URL of the picture of the page on which the picture appears. You put in your email address, you put in the link of the picture or video, and what you get back is the video here. You can speed up the video, you can slow down the video, you can tilt the video. It also gives you key images that you can use for reverse image search. There again is the details to get there. If you try and it's not working, I'm sure something's broken and they'll fix it. I did mail and let them know. You can speed this up, you can slow it down, and it's a way to watch a video and stop it. Look for the number plates, look for distinct buildings, look for stuff. So they then send you back a package. Also, if you want to preserve a video that someone might remove, you go through this process and you get back a whole package with this stuff. Plus, you can download the video, you can download all stuff. but you preserve the video. So if it disappears off the internet, you've got it. So this stuff used to be really, really, really expensive. I'd like to just show you a bit, if you would bear with me. I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry, have I not been sharing this? I have. So so with Invid, I've actually got it saved, and sorry, it's a browser extension. There it is. So just a quick tip while I'm here, guys. One of the ways to order your stuff, so my desktop is set up for fact checking, and I've got all my photo links. Find the date when a website was first published, all my video stuff, my Twitter stuff. So I'm going to go to Invid. Yeah, sorry, this is where I want to be. So here, you can look at a current page. I'm just going to show you the toolbox and what it can do. There are advanced tools. Some of these you won't have. You've got to apply to get access to the advanced tools. We've got video analysis, where you can take a YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter link. You submit it. It'll tell you all about that video. Everything you want to know about that video, and stuff that you didn't know what you wanted. This, again, gives you keyframes. So you can either upload a video, or here you put in the URL there. And what it will do is it will extract keyframes out of the video for you to do a reverse image search. You can extract thumbnails out of a video, again, for reverse image search. You can get the metadata, video rights, who owns that video. And then this data analysis, what it does is it builds a heat map. So if you put in a Twitter link, it'll build your heat map and show you who is tweeting about it. The bigger the bubble, I'm not going to, because we don't really have time now, but the bigger the bubble, the more that person is tweeting about it. It's a very, very powerful tool. Google have built a fact check explorer. So there I asked the question, can you catch COVID by eating meat? So PETA made the claim, meat causes coronavirus. And there's the answer. There's no evidence about any foodborne transmission by COVID, and you can fact check anything. It's a fantastic tool. This tool, and on every page I've included a link, is the International Fact Checking Network. 70 countries, fact checked from 70 countries, 40 languages. It's available in Spanish, Portuguese, and English. And you can use it. Every fact check that member organizations, and there's over 100 member organizations, have done about COVID-19, there's a way to fact check it. This tool, again, there's a link. it's a verification toolbox. You can put it on your, I would save the link. I've got it on my phone, by the way, for a quick fact check. You can check provenance, reverse image search, reverse YouTube search, date and time, Wolfram Alpha. It connects you directly to these tools. It shows you how to find Twitter names, Facebook IDs. It's got a whole lot of browser extensions here. There's Google Translate, which you should all have. If you download Wayback Machine, by the way, when you, if you go to a site that is no longer valid, Wayback Machine will automatically offer to take you back to previous versions. If you're on a website and you've downloaded the browser extension for Wayback Machine, if you're on a website, all you do is you right click and you can actually save a copy. So if that website is ever disappears, you will always have access to it. There's the example, Times Live, Times One Live. And this is the kind of rubbish that you were happening. Thabo Mbeki is still alive and well. It's a former South African president. So sometimes this is a hoax, but often it's a clickbait machine to drive you to this kind of rubbish, which you've all seen, right? And every time you click on one of these, people charge by the number of clicks. They charge advertisers by the number of clicks. So you are actually paying a clickbait spammer. You're earning money for them by clicking on this rubbish. TinEye reverse image search. We're running out of time, but I think it is important just to show you. This is a very, very powerful tool. I've got it on my phone as well, by the way. So what you do is any image, you can enter a URL, or you can paste it, or you can upload it. And let's just go here. This for me is one of the most, with Invid and the tools that I'm showing you, some of the most powerful tools. So this is a picture of the former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma. Now, very often when people are faking stuff, it's got to be plausible. So Jacob Zuma was known for his love of dancing. He loved women. This has got all the makings of it. Now, in vid, by the way, you can call up a picture like this and there's a magnifying glass that you can go over the picture. Look at the edges. Are they breaking apart? So there's the pictures come up. This is where
Excuse me, Ray. Excuse me, Ray. I don't think we're seeing the screen that you want us to see. We see only the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry. Oh. Oh. Okay, so I'm just very quickly going to go back. So you can paste or enter image URL, you can upload. And what I've uploaded is this picture. Now I have an option. I can go by best match, most changed, biggest image, newest, oldest. The most useful is most changed. and oldest, because oldest, what you want to use with oldest is you want to be able to go back. You want to be able to go back and try and find out who posted it first. So there is this picture. It's led me to a link in The Guardian. There's the picture. What's happening is that's the former Tanzanian president and Zuma dancing. Now, so let's just go there and I'll show you what it does. It's magic. There's my picture. That's where it's taken from. So if you have a look there, in the background, there's that dance floor, the two guys in gray, there's that guy. There they are, they've pulled it together. Also, if you use your eyes, you'll see, look how badly this is photoshopped. She is quite blurry, he's quite sharp. So one of the tricks is to make a picture bigger because it starts breaking up. I'm almost through, guys, and then so there it is. They're the two pictures. There, this picture was posted. There's the Pope. She turns out to be an American porn actress. Now, common sense. In the Vatican, would the Pope, in an audience with the Pope, would they let a woman there without a bra with nipples sticking out to the Pope? Would the Pope really be staring like that at her boobs? Then look at the background. You've got two different backgrounds. There's a curtain in the background. And this one, if you have a look, that's a stadium in the background. Look beyond the picture that you're looking at. I showed you this one. So this picture, which is meant to be, it's been photoshopped, looking like a penis. And that says that South African president on his way to Pretoria, to his office in Pretoria. But there's the same picture for Vladimir Putin. Again, there's actually what I did is I did a fact check. Zuma penis-shaped entourage. And I came up with BuzzFeed had done a fact check. Guys, we're running out of time and I'd like to leave space for questions, but your default should always be verify, verify, verify. Thank you. Are there any questions, guys?
Ray, we have a few in the chat box. I'm going to read a few of them for you. The first one came from Betty Johnson Bio. You said if a source wants to be anonymous, don't include them in a fact check. If the anonymous source response to an inquiry is corroborated with other sources, is it advisable to not still include them?
No, so I think you misunderstood me. I said be wary of people who want to be anonymous. You need to interrogate people and ask them why they want to be anonymous. They need to convince you, you know. And if you do, and yes, if they corroborated by others, that's for sure. But when you quote an anonymous source, always explain the context. A source with detailed information of what transpired. Give context to people. Just don't say source who asked not to be identified. So guys, so yes, I don't say don't use anonymous sources. I've actually just done a story where I quoted 3 anonymous sources. but I triangulated the information and confirmed amongst 3 people that the information was correct. And I explained why. And the reason I didn't quote them, it's again the lottery story. It's very dangerous. People have been threatened. People's cars have been burned. People have been attacked. Someone's steering was fiddled with and nearly died in an accident. I can understand why people want to be anonymous, but I interrogated them on their anonymity and I explained why. Guys, on the deep fake, so that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother one. Can I ask you, if you Google my name, I'm going to put in the check box. I actually did how to fact check deep fakes. So Africa Check is a local fact checking organization. It is a more and that has got lots of tips and hints about deep fakes and how to recognize deep fakes. The one thing I will tell you is that if a video is search for the longer video. Search if someone actually said something with a deep fake, and be very, very wary of very short video clips. Because very often that's where the deep fakes are lying. That's where people have pulled them out. So non-Latin alphabet languages, Chinese, any of these, use Google Translate, guys. Use Google Translate. Go to an English one and translate it. You'll understand it. It might not be perfect in your language, in Chinese, Russian, Arabic, but it'll be there. Now, GIJN, by the way, if you go to the GIJN site, they've got lots of resources there, and they publish those resources, and I've done stuff for them, and I'm always amused is when people tag me in Twitter, and I get my resource that I've done, that's been translated into Farsi, Arabic, into Cyrillic, into all kinds of stuff. Chinese, they publish Portuguese, Spanish, they publish their stuff in 7 different languages, and exactly the stuff that you are asking. Go to, I think it's gijn.com, but just search for them. GIJN, and what you will find is those resources in multiple languages. So again, WhatsApp, again, you know, we're running out of time, but WhatsApp is a whole different ball game. I'd like to include it in, look, an hour is too short for what we're doing. I can only tell you what you don't know in an hour and give you resources. I'm asking you to go and play with those tools, learn the tools, go and read up about tools. GIJN often publishes all kinds of tools in that. Go and have a look at them. Download the tool, get it into your browser. If it works for you, add it to your toolkit. If it doesn't work, throw it away. I only work with free tools, by the way, because my training is with people who don't have access. But be very wary of WhatsApp, and whoever posts it, ask them where they got it. Beware when it says forwarded multiple times. Do a screen grab of it. Do a reverse image search. The problem is a lot of these tools only work if something's being posted on the internet. And very often that's not the case with WhatsApp. What do you do when your source wants to be anonymous? Maybe I actually just explained it. They need to explain to you why they want to be anonymous. What are the reasons? What are the reasons that they want? So if you go, sorry, we're running out of time, but if you go to the International Fact, do you guys mind if we go just a moment over time, just in case? Fact checking network, just Google for them. They based at Pointer. And they have got a full list of fact checking organizations that are their members, and approach those organizations directly. They're always interested in fact checking stuff. Sorry, JD, fake news goes viral fast. How do you count them with faster debunk stories? Listen, be careful of being too fast. Fact checking is slow journalism. But if something is, if someone tweets something and they've got very few followers on Facebook or Twitter, think twice before you resharing and giving them oxygen. If they've got minimum number of followers, by you, if you've got lots of followers, all you're giving them is oxygen. And you need to, before you do a fact check, saying, what is the purpose of this fact check? Am I making it better or am I making it worse? Yeah, I think Esther, that's about it. Eh?
There was one more basic question I want to make sure is asked before we wrap up. How many sources should a fact check include?
So certainly not single sources. So when you're doing a fact check, remember that the fact check that you're using. So one of the most basic things when you're doing a fact check is Google keywords plus fact check and see if someone else has done a fact check. So that's one of the Putin penis-shaped vehicle cavalcade. I was about to do a fact check, but then I just Googled that and I found that BuzzFeed had done a very good one. There we go. Use the tools that I gave you to search for coronavirus fact checks that have already been done. Very often, Google is your friend. And when I say Google, I'm saying with a small g, I'm talking about an internet search. Search keywords from it, fact check. And very, very, very often you will find that someone has already done the work for you. I think if there's nothing else, I think that's about it. I'm sorry we've slightly overrun.
It's
As
okay.
I said, you will be getting the resources. The most important resource, if I could just show them very quickly, if you don't mind. So you're going to get this. It's a lot of the stuff I've been talking about. Okay, but here, loads and loads of resources, useful resources. Fact-checking toolkits, fact-checking using a mobile device. So fact-checking using a mobile device. Esther's going to share that and the presentation I did with you. And between those two, all the stuff that I've spoken about is there. If you want to follow up, I've got no problem. I've included at the end of that presentation my email address and my WhatsApp address. I know I should be using Signal. I have Signal. The problem with Signal is you can only talk to other journalists and activists. But in South Africa, most ordinary people are on WhatsApp. And feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy because, you know, as a fact check, I think the safer we make the space, the better it is for everyone else. So yeah, happy hunting. By the way, Africa Check, last thing, if you ever look, Africa Check runs they run an annual fact check competition. I think the first prize is $5,000, there's $1,000, there's a student prize. So go and look at there, or just Google Africa Check fact check competition. And if you've done a story where you've done fact checking, you've done a fact check enter, you never know, you could win 5K. And if you, like most other journalists, that's yeah, very handy money. So I thank you very much. Esther, are you going to share a feedback form?
Yeah, so earlier on, I plugged in an evaluation link. It's very simple. You could spend as little as 2 minutes. Please give us a sense of how the session was for you. But I think more importantly, as proven in today's session, let us know what other things you'd be curious about. We do anticipate doing a 2.0, if you will, of this session. So tell us what you would like to see in there. As Ray mentioned, I will be emailing you all right after this the resources that he has highlighted for you, including the slide deck. Thank you, Ray. And last thing I want to do before I let you all go is this membership link to CCIJ. This is one of the many things that this organization does for the journalism community. It is about training, it is about telling stories, it is about investigation, all the things that we feel are very important to continue these kinds of robust things. So please consider going to the membership and sign up to become one of our paying members. We would certainly appreciate that. On behalf of CCIJ, I want to thank Ray so much. I learned a tremendous amount, no surprise. We will be seeing him soon later on in another training. Until then, continue to do the good work, get in touch with Ray, and we will see you hopefully at another training session. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Happy fact checking. Cheers. Those of you still here, I suggest, Esther, don't go immediately. Let people just copy those links, because the moment you close it, the links are gone.
Exactly.
And by the way, CCIJ works, what Jeff didn't really explain was CCIJ works with in-country journalists. So giving journalists the opportunity to report from their own country, rather than visiting firemen from Europe and the United States and wherever, coming in without the context. Thanks, Terine. Coming in and regularly offers grant opportunities around subjects where you can pitch stories. Because certainly if you're listen, the only way to make a living in journalism these days, you either need a staff job, you need to be a freelancer who's well connected, or you need to learn about applying for grants. And very often grants give you the opportunity to tell stories that no media house is going to give you the space, nor the time, nor the money to do. So I urge you, it's a really, really, really good resource. It's a welcoming, friendly environment. And yeah, training opportunities. At the very least, sign up for their newsletter, which gives you all kinds of tips and hints and grant opportunities and opportunities to network. Very big on cross-border collaboration. And yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
I think that's
yeah.
Anyone who was, I hope everyone has, I hope everyone has copied that stuff. And I thank you very much, and have a good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are.
All right. Very good. Thank you, everybody. Be well.
Cheers.
Be safe.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.